Thank you, John. You need to start your hourglass before I can talk. Very good. Now I have permission. Hi, everyone. It's a great thing being in a retreat together. Strange, marvelous thing. Companions of the way. Nice to see you. Yeah. It's intimate. Be together in session. To hear the sound of the rain is intimate too. Not to hear the sound of the rain is intimate. So we've been talking a lot about the dark and entering the dark. And there's even a line that goes, when it's dark, darken further. It's a tribute to Lao Tzu, but I couldn't find it, even though it's in some of our koan collections. I couldn't find it in Lao Tzu. But still, we get the point. When it's dark, when you're lost, go darker, get more lost. And you can tell the freedom that happens then, and like you're not holding on, having to hold on to things and conserve them and keep them. As soon as you start to think something and you get on board that wagon of good thoughts, then immediately you've got enemies, which are bad thoughts. And you might lose your good thoughts. They might fall off your wagon. So in Zen, we can we just don't bother with all that. I found it. I was looking through one of the translations of Yun Men. Where is it? Here it is. And Phil Whalen is an old friend, long dead, but says this work on the life and teachings of Yun Men, the Chan master, is a splendid resource for us Westerners who keep fumbling all ignorantly with the study of and practice of Zen Buddhism. He's just describing what it's like to be a follower of Yun Men. It's like moving around in the dark. And Joan Kiger, who's a poet who was a friend of Phil's and said, has this funny poem that ends with, she asked him about what it's like to be a Buddhist. He's got a mala and he's, playing with the beads. And she said, what's the mantra and what do you believe in? And what are you visualizing when you move those beads? And he said, oh, in Zen, you don't have to bother with all that. You just fiddle with the beads. It's like, nothing is needed, nothing special. And I want to talk today about, so that's about cutting things off, and there's another koan saying that goes, you can cut off the tongue of everyone in the world, when people shout and dominate the stage. But how do you make someone with no tongue speak? So that's how do you can get rid of it. The koan can cut everything off. You can go to this very peaceful, serene place. But how do you be creative? How do you come back to life? How do you come back out of the dark? So I think that's where we're at right now. We're at the end of Sesshin. We've spent a long time in the vastness. Always a good thing to do. And in the vastness, we have this feeling of being carried, and that realizing realizing like what it is, what the great matter is, not because we're thinking about it, but because we're in it and we are it. I always, Gauguin had this great question on one of his paintings: where do we come from? Who are we? Where are we going? And so we have a sense of being immersed in that. That's good. So I want to finish with, but then what happens when things start to appear? How do we let life spring forth? And you'll find that, before I go on to what I want to do, you'll find that if you immerse yourself in a great koan, particularly if you do Sesshin, this interesting thing happens where that which was a problem before sort of dissolves. Solutio is the Latin for it, but things dissolve. And so you've had an impossible koan. Somebody walked in today with one of the impossible koans and said, well, I don't really know. And then showed me completely the classical response to it. And we just laughed. There wasn't anything to say. So something that on which he had been stuck since before Christmas, So I like that. So we start to trust being stuck. To be stuck allows you to go into territory you couldn't go to before, to go into the inconceivable, because everything you've conceived of isn't working. And so that's what koans are for. And so here's your great Yun Men again said, in the center of the cosmos, inside heaven and earth, there's one treasure hidden in the body. There's one treasure hidden in the body. Carrying a lantern, it walks into the meditation hall. It takes the great entrance gate, the great three-tiered gate that is such a feature of temple life. It takes the great entrance gate and puts it on the lantern. So it sounds like a pretty reasonable koan until that last line. but Yun Men must be slipping. This is making sense. But this, the thing about, in the center of the cosmos, inside heaven and earth, there's one treasure hidden in the body. And that body can be different things. It can be just the body of the universe, the body of form, things that have form, shape, weight, smell, taste. But it can be your body too. Your body is the body of the universe. So it's hidden there. So there's one treasure hidden there. And we can tell it's kind of interesting. We can tell, you can probably tell what he's talking about. And you just look around, look at someone. They won't know, alas. If we were in person, we could look at someone and you can look in their face and you can see that one treasure. It's never not there. And don't think you could miss it. So you don't have to don't put on an attitude to look at someone. That's annoying to you. And unfortunately, they can't tell you looking at them, but it'd be annoying to them. So you don't have to do it well. Just look at them. Just the way, the moon rises, the rain comes. The clouds open, the moon appears. Like that. And what Yun Men would say then is, what is this? So what is this? We'll ask another friend later, what is this? What is this? So Yun Men was always asking, what is this? There's one treasure hidden in the body. Carrying a lantern, it walks down the Dharma hall. Oh yeah. And that's the treasure. Again, look at your hand. Look at your hands. You know. And do you think the treasure is in your hands, or do you think the treasure is your hands? Yeah. And you can realize you just lift a hand. In Tai Chi, there's a movement called wave hands like clouds, and there's a crane movement where you lift your wing, and you can tell, oh, the treasure's there, isn't it? The treasure in the hands of them. It's like, oh, the infinite treasure of the universe is here. It's not somewhere else. And it's here. And okay, this is kind of corny, but try it. Touch your heart. Every chicken shit, touch your heart. Good. It's here. And Shui Feng said, who was one of Yunmen's teachers, he said, comes out of, or not actually his friend said that when Shui Feng was really stuck and they were snowed in together in the mountain, he said, Yen Te said, it comes out of your own breast, out of your own heart, and covers heaven and earth. So it's everywhere. As soon as it escapes from you, everything is it. So as soon as you walk through the gate and see things, everything you see will be the treasure. Everything will have that light. This is in the Blue Cliff record, in this case. The Blue Cliff record it's a sort of treasure that's a record of treasures. So it's kind of like a junk house of treasures. It's just great. And look, the poem for this koan goes, look, on the ancient embankment, who's holding the fishing pole? This timeless person holding, clouds roll on, the water vast and boundless, the white flowers in the moonlight. You have to see for yourself. See all these, and that sense that we're all fishing in eternity. The person who collected this collection was Yuan Wu, and he said, and he refers to something kind of interesting when he talks about this koan, where he says, Seng Chao was in the Garden of Freedom composing a treatise, his great work on Buddhism. And when he was copying the old Vimalakirti Sutra, he realized that Zhuangzi and Lao Tzu had still not exhausted how marvelous it all was. And so he then called on the Bodhisattva Buddha Bhadra at the Tile Coffin Temple, who had transmitted the mind seal who had been from the 27th ancestor in Sydney. It's in Sydney. That's great. In India. I've got to get less sleep. It's great. in India, transmitted the mind seal from India. I got it from Sydney, but he got it from India. And he entered deeply. It says he entered deeply into the inner sanctum. In other words, he really understood. He went deeply into it, and he was writing about it. Then one day, it says he ran into trouble. And when he was about to be executed, he asked for 7 days reprieve, during which he composed the treatise, the Jewel Treasury, before he was killed. Pretty easy to get executed in those days. So I guess it always is. Yun Men cited 4 phrases from that treatise to teach his community. The main idea is, how can you take a priceless jewel and conceal it in the world of form? Look at your hand again. Yeah. It's not holding the jewel. Yeah, it's all jewel. Yeah, the hand, you're looking, seeing each other. It's nice to see other people's hands go up, isn't it? Yeah. You can tell if who's willing to play and who isn't. Yeah, it's kind of nice. You might hold your hand up wrong. Be careful about that. You might do it the wrong way. You might be subject to criticism. You might criticize yourself. So you can see that Yun Men was he liked to have fun. And his daring was to get beyond, self and other, and beyond criticism. Yeah, beyond how we, in a way, we confine ourselves, by being safe. And so you can just, if you're daring, the whole world comes in. Try it again. Lift your hand again. See what happens. Yeah. Somebody's waving hands like clouds there and all sorts of things. But yeah. What is it? That's what you say. What is it? What do you think it is? What is it? And you can tell that question is awfully fun, What is it? And people think, oh my God, he'll see. I'm embarrassed, I won't know. He doesn't care. He just says, what is it? Again. And completely embodied in the question. Yuan Wu is carrying on here talking about Yun Man. And one of the other things he quotes here, he says, officially, not even a needle is admitted. Unofficially, a horse and cart and a great semi-trailer can go through. So it's all emptiness, and you can't move, and you can't take a risk. But then here it is. What is it? It's here. The great meaning of this is to show that everyone is fully endowed. Each individual is perfectly complete. Yun Man brought it up to show his community. It's totally obvious. He couldn't go on and add interpretations for you like a lecturer would. But he's compassionate, adds a footnote saying, if you pick up a lamp and go into the Buddha hall, and so far it seems good, that's the treasure, just carrying a lamp into the Buddha hall. And then there's this wild swerve. It says, now bring the great temple gate and put it on the lamp. It's like a set of instructions for enlightenment. First, you pick up the lantern and go into the Buddha hall. Well, we've all done that, haven't we? We're all here. Now you pick up the gate and put it on the Buddha hall. And that thing that we already have it, somebody said today, I know this. And there's something marvelous. And you feel that. In Sesshin, I always feel the reverence of the simple things in life, just walking. You walk into the kitchen. If you sit down, if you stand up, that's why, opening your hands is a good thing. All of that. You can tell the whole cosmos is present. Each hair of the gold, one of the images of the cosmos is a golden-haired lion, and each hair is a galaxy. And then one of the old koans says, and each hair contains the whole lion. So your hand contains the galaxy. So enjoy it, enjoy yourself, enjoy your hand, let your hand, how if you're doing Tai Chi or something, your hand raises by itself, it doesn't, no one lifts your hand because Qigong. And when you're walking, actually, no one's lifting your legs. So that's how we get carried. We can tell there's a vast, interesting quality. It's very active about all this. So it's sort of worth, I don't know, appreciating, I suppose. You can't really explain it, but you can enjoy it. And we can share it. And basically, a lot of the dharma is just giving away something that you got. And you can't really help giving it away because I don't know why you can't help giving it away. I notice you can't. You can't help when you're caught in it. It's sort of wonderful, and you're caught in seeing the nature of the intertwined nets. So that's that, I think. And let me see if there's anything more. Yeah, Shwedo says, young men standing on an ancient embankment holding a fishing pole. The clouds are rolling and the water is vast and boundless. The bright moon reflects white flowers, and white flowers reflect the bright moon. At this moment, what realm is this? What realm is this? The spiritual light shines alone, far transcending the senses. Everything is here. There's a comment that goes, everything is true, everything is real. Here it is again. So, yeah, and so all this is just to say, this is the treasure. Yeah. This is the treasure. And so you have that capacity. You don't not have that capacity. If it exists, it's got to be in you. And if it's in you, it's got to be in the dogs and the raindrops and the geese starting to circle overhead, starting to think, wow, there might be enough water to settle down here. You know, what do you think of this? Should we get a home in this estate here? So the geese are thinking that, and the other birds are thinking that. They're thinking what we're thinking. And they're all, you can tell they all have Buddha nature, the geese, the birds, the coyotes, that, you know, I don't know what, there's something thrilling, but also sort of kind of strange and eerie about coyotes hunting. You know, you just, you know, it's like everything's naked, you know. They are planning for somebody to die. And it's sort of, I find that disturbing. You know, when I can just feel it in my body and feel what it must be like to be a deer out there in the open fields, and you start hearing that. Coyotes are trying to panic you and calling for in front and behind. And so, but that's it too. The jewel is in the deer and it's in the coyotes. All of that, yeah. So there's nothing it isn't in. So, yeah, so I'm thinking this is the last night of Sesshin, and there's a couple of sort of things that may be obvious to say in the last night of Sesshin. And one is, you already have it, so trust that. And if you get glimpses of it and they go away, don't focus on the going away. It's even in the going away. But there's something, you know, we've been together long enough, you know, that that we know something about the reality of that treasure. Everybody has it. And and it passes through life and death, creation and destruction. And so we, you know, not being afraid is about just understanding that. It's not about having courage, really. I think maybe, I don't know, maybe some courage helps, but I don't think it's about that. It's about seeing that the treasure is already here. And then you'll see that, you know, one of the things I noticed in this session is that, you know, we just went down into the dark, like we walked down and down, or fell down with Yun Men. Suddenly it's midnight. He doesn't give you any warning, you know. It's like, that would not be Yun Men. So suddenly it's midnight. There's, you know, no sun, no moon, no lamp. If it's somewhere you've been, then it might be possible. If it's a place you've never been, how will you get hold of something in the dark? dark, dark. But also we realize, oh, that's the treasure's here, wherever you are in the midst of the cosmos, the treasure is here. So they're just pointing that out, really, I suppose. And then sooner or later we begin to notice. I remember one of my friends, when we used to have retreats out in the redwoods, and she said she knew something was going on when there was a bathroom downstairs that everybody used, and no matter how much we cleaned it, it always smelled like pee. And it wasn't loud or offensive, but it was definitely recognizable fragrance. And she said, and then she realized something strange was going on with that smell, that scent, that the treasure was in there too, that she would always have that smell. It's like hearing someone sneeze and waking up, it's like that. And then she went for a walk out in walking meditation. She saw the person in front of her had a black jacket with silk, some sort of silk lights in it. And she could see the flashing of the lights and see the redwood needles. And she thought, oh, I have a place in this. I can see the treasure. I have a place. I had never thought, I thought I was outside of this, but I have a place in this. So if you ever thought you were outside of the great matter, wrong. We have it, we can tell we have it. And you look at each other. That's why, the world is so beautiful, and we'll never stop loving it, really. And after we die, who knows how we'll love it then. So like that. So I think I might take some questions, or ask some questions, or one of those things. Where's Michael Wilding? Michael Wilding, what is it? Where is he? The other thing is just say, no. Here we are. Is my.
What shall I talk about tonight?
What did you say? I didn't hear you.
So what shall I talk about tonight?
Ah, that's what it is. Oh, good. Oh, good enough. Thank you. So I think everybody remembers from yesterday that Yun Man would ask his wonderful attendant, and they were really tight and really good friends. And every day Yun Man would ask him, what is it? And he'd give a very good answer like, Michael's, clearly that's the current matter, The whole world is contained in the current matter. Then, and Yun Man would say, no. And then after 18 years, the friend said, I got it. And Yun Man said, good, tell me. And he said, oh. And so, but after another few years, he got it. And so it works like that, doesn't it? You gradually realize what is your inheritance, what you've always had. But you may not be able to articulate it immediately. And but you may be able to, just never know. And Michael's sort of fun. For the next 18 years, I'm going to call him up and text him and ask him, what is it? It's good, we'll both have to live that long. So, Courtney, what is it?
Wrong. I was just writing that down. It's so great. There was something I wanted to tell you and I forgot what it was.
What is it?
I don't know. Forgot.
Oh, what else is it?
Oh, I know what it was. Talking about being home in myself. I notice my dog reacts completely differently to me when I'm home and when I'm not home. Like when I pick him up and I'm in me and I'm here, he is so relaxed and safe. I can tell that. But when I'm distracted and I pick him up, he seems so worried that I might like drop him or something. Like it's a completely different experience. Like he trusts me more when I'm here.
Yeah, that's what one of the old koans goes, intimate. Yeah, yeah, nice, isn't it? Yeah, and we can tell the difference, and then we forget, and the dog gets annoyed.
Yeah.
We remember, and the dog says, "Thank God." So yeah, so it's like dogs can see it, cats can see it, all of that. It's a marvelous thing. Also, I think even birds can see it in us. They behave differently if you're outside walking in meditation. Some of the birds are clueless, but some birds are clued in and they notice. Yeah. Thank you, Courtney, being a good sport there. And John Bennett, what is it?
It's unmuting. I'm staring at the candle that's on your table right next to the candle on my table and noticing they're in the same place, the same universe.
Light.
Light.
Tim Walters, what is it?
It's just that. And it's not the other thing.
It's the other thing too.
Wrong.
Jan Brogan.
It's this.
Actually, I asked Jan Black to unmute. Any of the Jans. First of all, Jan Black. Here we are. Yes, who had an amazing rabbit on. She still has a rabbit on her temple, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the rabbit. It's been with me the whole retreat.
Okay, Jan Brogan.
I was laughing, John. That was my response.
Very good. Well, good enough, It's so nice to be the last night of session. You can't make a mistake. You can't say the wrong thing, It was kind of Roddy.
I've just been thinking it's been cold, cold, cold here, like in my childhood, and just this crisp cold all around outside this warmth. It's been really nice.
Very good. Todd Geist.
I like the dark, the smell of candles, faces on the screen.
And solitary boat without oars being carried. Eleanor. Actually, that's Eleanor. That's the. Yeah, you can cut off people's tongues, but how do you make them speak? Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know, Roshi. It's kind of a rambling talk, and you're like half laughing, and it's kind of prepared, and who knows, but it seemed pretty good.
Yeah, but what's the treasure?
What's the treasure? The lion's hair.
Ah, you're just making things up, I think, Alison Atwell.
I keep thinking of Tess's leaves blowing in the wind and almost turning into birds. And I needed a cushion, another zafu, and a couple of days ago. And so I went into the living room and there was one on the couch. And I had a sort of bad feeling that John was using it and I shouldn't take it, but I took it anyway with the intention of bringing it back. And every day I didn't bring it back, and I'm just worrying about this. And then I think it was this morning, I went out there in the morning and I still hadn't returned the zafu, but there were suddenly 3 zafus, like 3 dogs had suddenly come on the chair. And there was a little Post-it note on it that said, "Stay." They turned into dogs. That's the treasure.
Dogs are good. Miriam,
Well, I just feel my face smiling and a kind of sense of what the hell is going on.
excellent. Good answer. Amaryllis, what is it?
My dog gave up trying to understand and went over and lay down on the couch and eyes me very.
Yes.
Oh, I think it's David Weinstein's cat's tail.
Ah, very good. That's what it is. Good to have it. Good to have an example of Buddha nature right there. Nicola.
Now I know that I've always had it.
Ah, are you sure?
No. Well, yeah, I am actually.
There you are. Stick to your guns, you know.
Yeah.
It's an important Zen thing. Maggie.
I just can't stop laughing and smiling. I'm just so happy.
Oh,
That's what it is.
That must be it. Who knew? Why were we not informed earlier? Mr. Crane, Fireboy, Gaffney. What is it? Actually, I unmuted the wrong thing, but you got muting powers, I think.
No, turn that hourglass over.
But what is it?
Turn that hourglass over.
Very good.
Or
She's done that. Oh, very good. You being a goose? What are you being there?
the air.
Yeah, thank you very much. Judy Swan.
So this afternoon, there's a willow tree that I must have passed 100 times, and it's shaped sinuously, and its branches were just floating around. And I stayed in the cold watching it, and I don't think I've left. I'm still there with it.
Very cold tonight, won't it?
It's dancing, and it just had this dance, and I couldn't leave it.
Very good. Christy, what is it?
I am really feeling my mother and my grandmother's in my hands today, all the time. So here, now you have them too, and I have you.
Thank you. Linda, what is it?
Yes, I was thinking about a favorite line from Robert Frost. It goes, "Earth's the right place for love. I don't know where it's likely to go better." So I changed it. "Here is the right place for treasure finding. I don't know where it's likely to go better."
Fair enough. Good, thank you. Amanda, what is it?
I don't know. I was so relieved to be off the hook just now. That's what it is. Relief, great relief, and then new terror.
That I got out alive. Holly. Christopher Johnson.
Looking, I most certainly can say the wrong thing.
Ah, that's good. Yeah, you men said, the reaching is it, it's nice, and even saying the wrong thing is it. But there's, what is Buddha? The heart of the one who asks is Buddha, looking. Yeah, nice. Dave Weinstein. What is it?
My back is killing me.
I advise you. So, yeah, here we are, feel it, feel the time, feel what it's like to be here on the last night of Sesshin. Yeah, it's marvelous. Allison, with one L.
It's sweet, so sweet.
So Harvey, what is it? Mark Gabriel.
It's spring flowing over like this, like this, like this.
Very good. It's a good place to stop. And I don't know. Thank you. What is this? We're going to do this for every day for 18 years. Maybe we have done it every day for 18 years. Now the awakening comes, the vast thing we're doing, what is it? What is it? And we can tell it's not that, it's just that the Tao only accepts genuineness from our hearts. And so one of the big things I've noticed this retreat is that the opening also means the opening of the heart. So we're feeling things, and we're feeling happy or sad or loving, and we're not afraid of what we're feeling, because that's it too. This very heart and mind is Buddha. And so that's a big thing to notice, that you don't have to hide what's really going on with you. You can have what you really have. And a lot of the time, in our culture, people are trained not to know what they're feeling, not to, I suppose not to know. We just told not to, my close English friend of mine, who said, well, I was told not to share my feelings so much. I just didn't know what my feelings were. And and still don't. He said, it's still like archaeology when I'm asked what I feel. But and we can tell that there's something, but if we own what's in us, if we don't own what's in us, everybody else is visible and everybody else has to carry it for us. So, that's what, when we talked earlier about shadow, that you can allow shadow to come home in the darkness, like that, And otherwise, we're dragging dark images in and pretending it's not us, not taking responsibility for them, or things like that. So we can, to be able to rest in the darkness without anxiety, then the brightness starts to come. The treasure starts to be visible. And it's really been nice. I've felt like a lot of openness in people that I've seen. And I thank you. And it feels to me like it's like the dog. The thing about the dog, the dog knows if you're intimate or not. Yeah, intimate with the great matter. So thank you.
Peacefully, humbly, the ship stars travel. The grass hunches down to earth. The demons take their rest. And we call on the protectors to smile over us as the work in darkness goes on until dawn.
All Buddhas throughout space and time, all awakened beings, wisdom.
The four boundless vows.
beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. I vow to wake all the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. I vow to wake all the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. To walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way.
In the center of the cosmos, where I come from, is a being, a great being that's 80,000 years old. And it's the largest known living creature in the world. And it's called the Trembling Giant. And it's made of innumerable aspen trees. And every time they share a single root, so they're all reaching up for the light together. And what makes them the same thing is they're the same being. They've been doing this for 80,000 years, reaching for the light together. And when their arms no longer can reach the light and they fall off, they get what are called the eyes of the ancestors. And so when you walk through them, you glimpse into the eyes of the ancestors. And tonight I was just sitting here thinking we kind of are our own trembling giant, like reaching across continents and worlds and centuries and somehow all stretching up for the light together. So thank you for being part of the great trembling giant, the great being of Sesshin, and may it bring you a dream tonight. Good night.
Good night, all.